order the December 4th meeting of the BZA. It is currently my time, 6:05. Mr. Secretary, would you mind calling the roll for us?
All right. Mr. Gear.
Here.
Mr. Johnson. Ms. Hand. Mr. Nieves.
Here.
Ms. Childs.
Here.
And Mr. Perkel.
Here. Next on the agenda are the minutes. Have all members been the opportunity to review?
Yes.
Is there any changes or requests, amendments? If not, can we get a motion to vote for approval?
I move to approve the minutes for the November meeting.
I'll second it.
Mr. Secretary, would you mind
Well,
voting for us, for roll call for us?
all right. All right, Ms. Childs. You actually want, you made a motion, make all in favor, would be fine.
Yeah, we can make a motion, all in favor.
Yeah.
All those in favor,
That's
say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
right. Thank you.
Before we begin, I'd like to share this information with all the applicants that are here tonight. This board is composed of 5 persons with 2 supernumeraries and is empowered by the Alabama State Legislature, but appointed by the City Council and is in charge with hearing petitions for relief from a literal and a strict application of the zoning code. Cases are heard in the order in which they are filed. Motions are made in the positive, and each case requires a positive vote of at least 4 members. A simple majority will not approve an action. The burden of proof for variances and special exceptions rests with the petitioner. Variances granted shall lapse and be of no effect if, after the expiration of 1 year from the date of such approval, no construction pursuant to such variance has taken place, provided that the Board of Zoning Adjustment may, for a good cause shown, specify a longer period of time in conjunction with its actions to grant the variance. Any parties aggrieved by any decision of this board may, within 15 days, file a written notice of appeal to the circuit court. And I just want to make notice here that we do have 4 members today. We've got 3 board members and a supernumerary, so that does mean that all 4 are going to require a positive or in favor vote for passing of a motion and passing of your case there. I would like to state, and I will reiterate it each time as the applicant comes up, you do have the ability to ask for a continuance for the next month in hopes that we'll have more board members to vote. With that being said, move to our next item of agenda, which will be communications from the chair and vice chair. I would like to share that in January that the board members will be holding a vote here at the floor for the position of chair and vice chair. So I want to share that motion will be made in January. Secondly, Ms. Giles, do you have anything you'd like to share?
I don't.
And currently, we do not have any old business, so we're going to move on to the new business, which is our first case, SV 25-1201. That's 800 College Avenue. Will the applicant or homeowner please approach? Please state your name and address and write that down for us as
Sure.
well.
So I'm the applicant, Jason Hale, with Willow Homes. But I'm gonna let the homeowner, as is prepared, I was gonna let him speak first, and if there's any further questions that I can help with, I'll be standing beside him. I live at 1400 Sutherland Place in Homewood.
Would you guys care to speak a little bit closer to the mic?
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, if you need to move it, adjust it, whatever. Just,
I'm pretty loud.
Yeah, be as loud as you need to be.
Okay. I'm
need
Carl
to be
Emmons.
loud.
I live at 800 College Avenue. We did think it would be important to have my wife and son show up, but I don't believe that they're going to be very attentive. Just if that's my wife, Jordan, lives also at 800, and my son, who's going to be 2 next week. And if you can't tell, my wife will be having our second baby on the same day that Lofton's birthday is. So I'm a little nervous. This is clearly very important to us. Our house is already halfway gone. We can't live there right now, so we are really needing to do this. Just to be clear, I understand the 4 members, and we would like to proceed today. And just to be clear, if you want to bail, you can, or you can stay. If y'all need to kick them out because they're too loud. All right, so again, my name's Carl Emmons. I want to say that I've reviewed all the ordinances and I watch all the videos going back about a year, so I understand what you're looking for. Things I could say that mean a lot to you, things that I say that mean almost nothing to you. I do want to say a few things that might be less meaningful to you. First, just to get started, Jordan and I found this house in 2019. We wanted to be in the area. We didn't think it would be very possible for us at the time, but we found this house. It's old, it's a clunker, but it's great, and it's in the location we wanted to be. Has been falling apart for some time. We loved it, but as most people probably know, once you get a kid in there, it kind of changes how much you're willing to put up with in your house. And then especially once we got pregnant again, she hates it when I say that, once she got pregnant again, we figured we had to renovate. We didn't even think about moving. The location is just too perfect. We just love it so much. Our neighbors, who a lot of them are here to help support us tonight, we love being close to school. I want to walk him to school one day. I'm the neighborhood dog rescuer. I live on the corner of College and Oxmoor, so in 6 years, I've probably rescued 50 dogs running through the road, take them home, find where they live, let them hang out at my house until I can figure that out, protect cars, protect traffic. I've got the little pincher gun that I can pick up trash around the school in my mini bags. I just want to tell you this, just to let you know, I care about the place. I care about the location. I feel like I'm a good neighbor. So our next door neighbors, our immediate next door neighbors, the ones that our variance is getting, would have our house closer to them than the 10-foot setback. They renovated their house probably about a year ago. They did the almost full thing. Talking to them during their process and talking to them while we started our process, we're in the same boat. We just want to live here next to each other for a very, very, very long time. So we decided to renovate. I'm a review reader. I read reviews when I buy socks, so I read a ton of reviews on who I was going to have do my house. I had about 10 companies come over, look around, look what I wanted to do, and give me quotes. And I ended up choosing Willow. This is Jason Hale with Willow, because they spent the most time on the front end giving me the spreadsheet of all the numbers. They probably spent hours of work without thinking any idea if they were going to actually get our business or not. And no one else did that. So we went with Willow. Next up, we got a designer. He measured our house, which I think is important to mention, because if he's measuring my house to build it, we're doing what? We're staying within those parameters, which is still what we're doing. I'm not asking for a variance to go in any direction whatsoever. I want to keep my house exactly where it is. And so we got the house plans. We moving on to permit at that point. So Willow submitted the permit to the city, and it was to fully renovate that first floor and then add a second floor on top of the existing structure. This permit, the plans moved rooms around, does electrical work, plumbing work, replaces all the siding on the house, replaces the windows, replaces drywall, and obviously, since we're going up, the roof too. It's worth noting, when you're thinking about if you should grant my variance today, that permit was actually approved. So that permit was approved. That tells you somebody in this building looked at the plans, thought about the plans, and was like, this is an acceptable structure. So just remember that moving forward, that somebody has decided that this structure would be fine there. Our issue didn't come up until the demo work happened. So Jason called us and asked us to come meet him at the house so we could walk through. And unfortunately, what he showed us was that the 83 years that house has been there, that just about every single spot on the walls had some severe water damage. There was mold. I'm not super familiar with mold, but I didn't know that it could get so much and so old that it just turns to powder and dust. And he's just showing us on the floor piles of dusty mold, insect damage. Even the insulation. You could tell all of it was different colors because of how wet it had been during different times. And he told us that unfortunately he just didn't feel comfortable building what I would call our dream home, our forever home around this. I feel like he could have, if he wanted to, hid that from us, maybe just continued forward. He didn't do it. He said he didn't want to build like that, and he was going to look into the cost of potentially saving money on demo if we had to replace those walls, those exterior walls. Again, remember, we're replacing the siding and windows already. That was already approved. It's just that interior wood. He wanted to see if saving money on demo, because he didn't have to be so meticulous about it, and would offset the cost of the extra wood. And that was, I can't remember what day it was, but I want to say it was 2 days later, I drove by and the walls were gone. And, you know, we reached out to Jason, and he did inform us that the cost wasn't even going to go up. So the cost didn't go up because of how much quicker they could demo and get that wood in there. That is when, unfortunately, the city decided, they told us that you took the exterior walls down, that puts you over a specific threshold. And now we need to change your renovation permit to a new build permit. And obviously that's an issue in our case because of the back right of our house is 4.5 feet over a 10-foot setback. So we're 5.5 feet from the property line, but we're 4.5 feet into that 10-foot setback. If you can see the top right corner, 5.5 feet. And so since we're switching from renovation permit to a new build permit, now we have to account for that over the setback, and we need a variance. I did provide pictures with my support file, pages 1 and 2, and Emily, I did realize after I sent this that my numbers and my reference here aren't going to help you at all since you've compiled everything together, so I do apologize for that. But the first 2 pages of pictures that I send in are just general showing you that corner of the house and where it sits. These are some pictures that Jason did send in to show those.
That's that wall, though. Yeah. That's the, back there is the closest corner on that wall.
So if you move forward to, do you have the pictures that I sent in with?
Sorry, I'm not
Oh,
controlling
sorry. Oh, somebody, okay. Well, we'll get there, and when they pop up, okay, here we go. All right, right here, these first 2 pages. So this is looking down the right side of my house. This corner right here is the 4.5 feet corner that goes over. That is our master bedroom. And on the other side of that fence are Charlie and Sarah Sexton, who are here tonight. Those are the people that redid their house that we really hope we can continue to live next to.
I will also say that fence is not on the line. So while it looks close in that picture, that's not actually the property line.
Jason, sorry, when you speak, do you care to speak into the mic?
Yeah, that fence is not actually on the property line. It's closer than the property line.
You hear that, Charlie?
Yeah.
All right, and so at that point, that threshold that we crossed over, I needed to learn about that. So I learned that the threshold that was told to us is once we took those walls down, we crossed the threshold of, does the damage equate to over 50% of the cost to rebuild the structure? I've since learned at our meeting with the city that the cost to rebuild a structure is based on industry standards, where they take our square footage and put it online with some basic number. I don't know today that I have any issue with how that's determined. Where I do see a little bit of an issue is determining when 50% has been crossed. Because what happened is we submitted a permit for plumbing, electrical, siding, windows, drywall, moving stuff around, taking the roof off, and it was approved. So we moved out. We're living in a townhome in West Homewood, which has honestly been awesome. But you know, and then we get this. Jason finds the rot. He does what he believes is the right thing and doesn't build a house around the rot, and he replaces that, or he tries to replace it. We did have wood in our yard ready to go, and that decision is the difference between A, our plans being approved, us building the house, and us living here for 20, 30, 40 years or whatever, and B, this board having the ability to make a decision that could effectively evict me, my wife, and my kid next week from Edgewood. And I hope that that's something that you can remember, that this is all over the decision to replace that wood. It's also worth noting, if you've driven by the house, I know you've seen pictures here, but if you drive by the house on the front and you look at it, it might look like there's not much there. It might look pretty flat. But I also provided pictures Earlier, the pictures I showed you, here we go, look at that, somebody's listening to me. This house, if you stand at the back of it, is about 6 or 7 feet tall. We decided we wanted to keep all the hardwood, so the original hardwood is still all throughout the house, which is another reason why we had to tarp it during this delay. We want to try to keep the hardwood, refinish it, and let it be part of it. We kept, if you see the blue part up there, that's the tallest part. That's our master bathroom that Jordan and I did about 2 years ago. And not demoing that and not having to redo that helped us keep our project within our budget. And there's a basement, there's a finished basement, there's a laundry room, there's a workshop. There's, that bathroom is on an exterior wall that's all still standing. And we kept all these things because we needed to save a little bit of money and not destroy the whole piece. Obviously, the exterior walls were supposed to still be there. I get that. But we replaced those because they were rotted. Now I'll go into, and admittedly, some of what I'm going to say is very applicable to granting a variance, and some of it might be indicative that a variance isn't needed. But I am here tonight, and regardless of the arguments here that I'm saying on this video, I want to make sure that you guys understand I am asking for the variance. I don't want to pass, and I don't want to try to go a different route. I just want to get the variance and be done so I can rest easy. So zoning ordinance, Homewood zoning ordinance, Article 3, Section G4 states restoration after damages. And that starts with other than primary dwellings, no nonconforming building or structure which has been damaged by fire or other causes to more than 50% of its current replacement value prior to the time of such damage may be rebuilt or restored except in conformity with provisions of this article. So our primary dwelling was damaged by water, rot, mold, and the remainder of it under the authority of the permit approved by this city. And so under this ordinance, again, Article 3, Section G4, would allow us to rebuild those exterior walls without any permission because of the damage to them. We could restore those walls, and that would effectively put us in the position we were before we got flagged, and that would allow us to continue with our renovation permit instead of having to then get this variance that was only caused because we took those walls down. I will also cite, and I have case cites for anybody if they need them after this, Ferraro versus Board of Zoning Adjustment of City of Birmingham. The Appeals Court of Alabama found that a property owner's carport had been damaged by fire, and he decided to go in and just pull out the entire carport to rebuild it. In this case, he had to argue that removing that carport was not damage of his own doing. And that court, the Court of Appeals, agreed and stated that that damage was caused by fire, and him removing the remainder of the carport was not damage of his own doing. And so I would say that equates to our case because we found this insect damage, the water, the rot, the mold, and us removing that to replace that would not be found to be actions of our own doing under the Appeals Court of Alabama. The next Homewood zoning ordinance I want to reference is Article 3, Section G5 that says, and the most important part of this is the end, non-conforming primary structures can be maintained, repaired, and modified, provided such maintenance, repairs, or modifications do not increase, enlarge, or alter the non-conforming structure in any way which increases the structure's non-conformity. Now, here's another case with the Supreme Court of Alabama, Ex parte City of Fairhope versus Board of Adjustments. The City of Fairhope's ordinance, which is a little different, but it's essentially the same ordinance. A non-conforming building can be structurally altered or expanded provided such alterations or expansions are in conformance with the side, front, and rear yard requirements and with height requirements. The Supreme Court held in that case the proposed second story will not conform to the 5-foot setback requirement, but it will not increase the building's nonconformity and will not otherwise violate this ordinance. And so if the Supreme Court of Alabama states that the second floor can be over the setback but not increase the building's nonconformity, I feel like that gives a little guidance to either us today or where this could go. In another case, and I'm not going to read this one and quote it as much, it's very boring, so I'm going to just sum this one up. Ferraro versus BZA Birmingham again, the court talks about the hardship test. And so obviously y'all are very familiar with people telling you about their unreasonable hardships. So this case, Ferraro, they say that even though you have unnecessary hardship, unnecessary hardships for any variance you're requesting, if you're requesting a use variance, as in I'm asking my house to now be the new local 49, or a restaurant or a shop or a store, that you would hold me to a higher standard on the unnecessary hardships than if I'm asking for an area variance, which is what I'm asking for. Just let me build my house right where it is. It's over the 10-foot setback. So that court says that I'm less strict since I'm only asking for an area variance, and that I don't have to do one thing that I would if it was a use variance. I don't have to show you that it's impossible to build my house somewhere else. I just have to show you the unnecessary hardships involved. And I think that's important, and it's probably very important in your job, because most people asking for a variance, if you really wanted to get technical, you could probably build a house on their property. If it's a triangle house or a weird circle to fit in the setbacks, you could probably find a way. Well, I don't have to show you that it's impossible. I just have to show you my unnecessary hardships. And that's the Appellate Court of Alabama. It's also worth noting, just for the sake of saying it, unnecessary hardship is not impossible hardship. It's not unovercomable hardship. It's unnecessary hardship. My house is a non-conforming structure. It sits 4.5 feet into a 10-foot setback. The furthest culprit, as I showed you earlier, is 4.5 feet. But the nonconformity extends down that right line until about halfway through my house, and that's when it crosses over that 10-foot mark. And so my house was built in 1942, and the one square back bedroom with the flat roof that they put on there, which increases that water damage, they said that they estimate that was added in about the 60s or 70s. But regardless, my house was over the 10-foot line from the day it was built in 1942. My house has never complied with a 10-foot setback. Our lot is a non-conforming lot. The lot is inadequate in width and not reasonably buildable without this variance. The survey shows that the front part of the street, which determines how big my side setbacks need to be, I believe it's 59 point something feet. And so you got to think that is less than 5 feet more than me just having 5-foot setbacks and me not needing to be here today. So that's 4 point something feet over 55 feet that make my side setbacks bigger. And so if you think about my lot, and I know there's cameras on me, I'll show you. So the front of it is 60 feet, and the back of it's 40 feet, which you got to think 10-foot setbacks, that's infeasible to build a house there. And it bubbles right there at that corner at the front of my property up from 60 to 80 before it shrinks down. Excuse me if that hurt anybody's ears. Shrinks back down to 40. And so you think 80 feet. 80 feet is wide enough to build almost whatever you need to here. The problem is, here's another ordinance. The zoning ordinance, Article 4.3.D1, about my front setback. So I'm not going to quote the whole thing. I'm trying to hurry up. I know there's people behind me. But it basically states that with this guy right next to me, Charlie Sexton, my house needs to be the same distance back as his house. I can't scoot up to take advantage of that 80 feet. I have to be back 44.5 feet. So instead of 25-foot setback in the front, like most people get, or you would get in a regular basis, I am losing 44.5 feet. And so that's the prime fat part of my property where, yes, I would say you could build a bigger house. I can't use it. I can't use that. I can't use the side 10 feet on Oxmoor. I can't use 10 feet in the back. The pie, the small part of the pie in the back of my house would be 20 feet wide if you take the setbacks. And so it really squeezes me in. So let's see here. All right, so something you guys reference likely every time you have one of these is Homewood Zoning Ordinance, Article 11, Section B, Paragraph 3 requirements. The size and shape of the land is not applicable to other lands or structures in the same district. Hopefully I just demonstrated that to you, and I'll talk about it more in a minute. We will not be granted any special privileges. Our house is here, we want to just keep it where it is and keep building it. Denying the variance would deprive us of rights enjoyed by other people in the area, other people that are living the way we want to live. The variance will not be injurious to the neighborhood or general welfare. In fact, and it's very important, and I'll get into this in a second, denying this variance will be very injurious to the neighborhood and general welfare. This is not a self-imposed hardship. The house was built in 1942 prior to the ordinance, And the most minimum variance possible is what we're looking for. I don't want to go out, I don't want to go back, I don't want to go front. I just want to build my house where it currently sits and go up. And talking about unnecessary hardship and infeasibility of being able to move it, there is a massive hole in my property if you're forced to move it. And that hole is where a house built in 1942 sits, dug down into the property. So if it was before, if you denied this and somebody had to build a house elsewhere, you now have the unnecessary hardship of having an old house that already sits there that you're forcing that person, maybe me if I can afford it, to move. There's a parking pad on Oxmoor. If you deny the variance and force the house to move out onto Oxmoor, it's going to ruin the ability to have that parking pad. That parking pad, I have to have 2 parking spots per ordinance on my property, which means I now have to add a parking pad to the front of my yard, which is a nice big grass yard. I know Homewood loves their landscaping, and you'd be forcing me to dig it out and put a nice fat piece of concrete on there for 2 cars. You might as well do 3 since you hear that one. And so that's just another ordinance that would prevent us from doing, from following all the rules. This one is probably, in my opinion, the most important consideration. The public health, safety, and welfare. These are items the board is supposed to consider when granting a variance. Ironically here, you were able to protect the health, safety, and welfare by granting my variance. If you grant it, it stays right where it is, doesn't move. If the variance is denied, and either Jordan and I, or if we decide we just can't afford it, we have to sell the lot for somebody else who can afford it. If somebody has to squeeze in a building 44.5 feet back, 10 feet, 10 feet, 10 feet, you know where it's going to be. It's going to be right up on College and Oxmoor, right in front of that stop sign. And that road curves, it's going to make it dangerous, and that's something that I would think if that's something you're supposed to consider, you would want to grant the variance to avoid it. Because I'm telling you, if you grant my variance, I'm building the exact plans in the exact place, and I'm not going to build anything out there on Oxmoor. Pages 8 through 10 of my support file, I went and I went out to the property and I measured that 44.5 feet, so kept it right in line with where my house front is now. And then I did 10 feet from Oxmoor, and I put a post there to show you where a house could be built. I did submit pictures of this, no rush to whoever's listening to me. But I put a post there to show you, move forward one more. Yeah, so go back one. Yeah, so you see where that white square I took out of that picture up top? That's where your house could sit, 44.5 feet back and 10 feet from Oxmoor. And so this is sitting at this stop sign that people already struggle with. There's already kids running around there. It's next to a school. That's where a nice 2-story fat house could sit if this variance is not approved. Now, I did speak to the engineering department before we came here just to ask, is there something that the city could do to block that? And I was told that if the house is 44.5 feet back and 10 feet in, you build it. And so that's where a house could be if somebody else is forced to build a house on this land other than where mine currently sits. I also want to say that I've been sitting in my front window having my coffee before, and I hate to give Betsy PTSD here, but I saw a Jeep pull out of that stop sign and get smashed by a Challenger, probably going double the speed limit down Oxmoor. And I called 911, ran outside to help, and that's something that happened without a house sitting here blocking the stop sign, and it's something that's going to happen a lot more if a house is forced to sit there. He can come up here. You want me to hold him? Okay. And so that's something that I hope is probably the utmost priority. Whether you feel bad for me, whether you think I deserve the variance, I'm hoping that that would be a huge thing that you'd like to avoid, and you get to do it tonight with one vote. And so our prior plans were submitted and approved. We still want to build that same structure. We know that public health, safety, and welfare play into your decision, and we hope that you make the right one and grant the variance. I will say one more thing about the setbacks. This is my last page for the record. Although public health, safety, and welfare are much more important than aesthetics, consider that every single house on Oxmoor right there, my house, 800 College, and then 809, 811, 833, 835, 837 Oxmoor, and then 198 Virginia, we all sit back the exact same distance. It looks good. You drive down this main road in Homewood, and you get to see all these houses right next to each other. Since it's not my front setback, it's my side setback, if this is denied, you're gonna force one of those houses to awkwardly and drastically, not 2 or 3 feet, a lot of feet, jump up towards Oxmoor, and it's just not gonna look like a clean line anymore. If someone was to have to go the other way and ask for a variance to go frontwards into the fat part of my property, you would be doing the same thing on College, jumping one house out that blocks all the other houses. It looks good where it is. It needs to just stay exactly where it is. I'm tucked back in the corner, and my neighbors want me there. The last thing I'll mention is that when this first got brought up, I did I typed out the issue. I brought a one-page letter to 27 surrounding neighbors. I didn't skip a single house. There's not a person out there that I cherry-picked to try to avoid that person's bad opinion. I went to every house. I either left it mailbox or I hand-delivered it. And I got 14 letters and emails that have been submitted with my package. And I do have Mitchell and Aaron Greggs at 305 Westover. They gave me an email last night. They said, sorry, we're late. So I have one more. So that's 15 responses to my letter that say, please give this guy his variance. We want him here. Please just grant his variance. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. Glad this isn't like a real court transcript that, I guess it could be. But yeah, so I have heard 0 comments, 0 texts, 0 emails, nothing opposed to this. Maybe the city has, and I just don't know about it, but I have had no one tell me, we really don't like it. We really don't want those plans there. And I'm hoping that the people that showed up today, and plus the 15 letters and emails we received, go a long way to tell you there's not going to be somebody out there that's just absolutely blowing up at your decision to grant my variance. Approving my variance helps my neighbors, it helps the community, it keeps it safe, it helps property values. Denying it, I think it would just turn nasty. Even if I don't have the willpower to build that close, somebody's going to. The last thing I want to mention is that my neighbors, Charlie and Sarah Sexton, who are here tonight, they are still, in 2 years of my son's living, the only ones to babysit him besides my parents and my wife's parents, because that's how close we are. We babysit their kids. Their older kid, I wish he could have been here tonight because he loves Lofton, and we just want to live next to each other. That's all we want to do, and we just want to stay there. And at this point, I'll be ready for questions. Obviously, I have Jason with Willow here. If you ask me something about nails or something, I might have him answer it.
Mr. Hale, do you have anything you'd like to add before we open it up to the public?
No, I think that covered. I mean, the only thing I had was the hardship and laying it out there, but I thought he did a great job of explaining. That it is actually, that lot shape is also just a hardship on its own.
Thank you for that. Thank you for your presentation. I'd like to open it up to the public here. If anyone would like to approach the bench, please state your name and your address and write that down.
Hello, my name is David Campbell. My wife Terry and I live at 801 College Avenue, directly across the street from Charlie and Jordan and Lofton and baby to be named later. I really want them to be our neighbor. They're wonderful people. I see that Lofton grows right out my window. He plays with Charlie's kids right there in the front yard, and I would hate to think that they would have to leave simply because their house is too close to someone that they're close to. So this is more about me just saying that I would love for them to stay as our neighbor. Before, my wife and I have lived in our house since 2009, and the people that own the house before Carl and Jordan rented it out. So there was a constant turnover of college kids. They weren't partiers. They were vetted well. But there was every 6 months, every 9 months, a new group of 4 or 5 girls would come. Some would bring us cookies, which was great. I don't eat cookies. But having them as neighbors, it's great for us, it's great for the community, it's great for the school system, because you go right down College, there's the elementary school. Across the street, up a little bit, Mecca, there's the middle school. My grandson goes to the middle school. He's in the 7th grade. So that's about all I have to say is please consider letting them build their house. And I saw the plans for the first time. Please let them build that house. because it's really nice. And every time I have been over there, I'm very sensitive to mold. The house I grew up in was kind of in a valley, and the basement would flood. So I could notice that smell, and that's a very unhealthy thing. And I just want Lofton and the new baby and Carl and Jordan to grow up and to live there, like he said, for their forever home in a very clean, nice environment. And that's really all I have to say. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, y'all, Charlie Sexton, and this is my wife, Sarah Sexton. We live at 804 College Avenue, and we are the ones directly adjacent to it, and the ones who would be affected most by this. Carl did a good job of talking about how close we are. We are super close to them, love them. I mean, I can't imagine the thought of them not being our neighbors. So that speaks for itself, but I want to kind of talk, for me and the future neighbors that are going to live there, right? So who's going to live there after Charlie and Sarah, which we have zero plans to. But I can't think of any scenario where myself or a future homeowner of my house, even if we hated Carl and Jordan, right, would not want this to happen. Because it was a house of, it was like 25 years of deferred maintenance of renters, coming in and out. And, when you're talking about taking that house and putting up this beautiful house, I mean, like I said, aside from our relationship with them, I mean, that is a no-brainer to me and everyone that's ever going to live at 804 College Avenue. So I would say, y'all, please make this happen, and help us to keep Carl, but also help me to get a nicer house right there, because it needs to happen. So thank y'all.
Hi, I'm Betsy Carmichael. I live directly across in kind of catty corner to Carl and Jordan. I live to the right, or if you're facing David's house, to the left. And I have been in my house since 1999. The family that lived in that house when I moved in, since then, Carl and Jordan is the first family that have actually been there, have established it as a home. You've heard the previous two neighbors talk about the turnover and just the constant renting that was going on. So love them as neighbors, would love to see them be able to, as Carl said, just build their house right back on the property line. And I know y'all have a lot of people who come up and ask for a lot of things, so I appreciate everything that each of you are doing, also to help preserve Homewood. It is a great place. Don't want to see that change and just want to see them be able to get back in. We have missed them being on the street because they've been out of their house since September, August or September, losing track. So I will just wrap with that. So. And to note, I live at Westover, which is the first house. It splits off, so that may look different on here.
How y'all doing?
Doing well.
I wasn't planning on doing this. I will see y'all at the end because I need a variance, but I wanted to say that I met Carl and Jordan. We're living in the same townhomes because I've moved out of my house. Hadn't known them that long, but since we're kind of going through the same thing and moving out, but as somebody that grew up in Homewood, went to Homewood, went to Hall Kent, Carl and Jordan are exactly who we want in Homewood. My little girls play with Lofton in the courtyard, but yeah, they're great. So.
Do you mind just speaking your name and your address there so we have that for the record?
It's Justin Ivins. My address is 600 Hambaugh Avenue.
Thank you.
Hey guys, I'm Phil Amthor. This is Anna Amthor. We live at 818 College Avenue down the street. We've been there for a year and a half. One of the first people to welcome us to the neighborhood was Carl and Jordan and Lofton. We have a son who's Lofton's basically the same age. We've missed them greatly. We want to speak to their character. We want them back as soon as possible. We're here to support granting them the variance. And we just want to say that the social fabric of the neighborhood is linked to how tight-knit physically the houses are. So we like the setbacks being small. We have small setbacks with our neighbors. And so we want to support this, and we thank you for your time. Thank you all for your service to Homewood.
Good evening. My name is Seth Brown. I live at 808 College Avenue, so just 2 houses down on the other side of Charlie. I just wanted to come here tonight and voice my support for the approval of this variance. As a recent homeowner that did some renovations, sometimes, in these older houses, it's just tough to know what you're going to find until you start doing the work. And like Carl laid out, that really was the case here. They planned, the entire time to leverage the existing structure and to use the walls that were there, and unfortunately that just wasn't the case with the extent of the damage. But with the proposal, they're planning to maintain that same profile and everything of the home that already exists. And so in my mind, it doesn't make that big of a difference, and I hope that y'all see it the same way. To just speak to Carl and Jordan, my wife and I bought our house back in March, and as we were there looking at the house and we were kind of picturing what our life could look like on College Avenue, Carl was the first person that came up to us and spoke to us, and we sat there for 15 minutes talking to him, and he just spoke about how much he loves the neighborhood and how great Homewood is. And so I'd really hate to lose him as a neighbor, and I think our neighborhood really benefits from their presence. So thank y'all, and yeah.
Well, it looks like that the public portion of this applicant here ends, and we would like to open it up for the board for any other questions that we may have for the applicant and or the home builder. I think you did a well job of explaining everything in your situation there, and I know I personally do not have anything, but just to state for the record, you are planning on building on the same foundation footprint. There's no encroachment any further into the setback.
Yeah, no porch, nothing. The house where it sat before has already been measured and planned, and unless you deny the variance, those plans are the exact same plans that are going forward.
And in fact, we actually are shrinking a little bit of, not that side, but another portion, the porch has been shrinking. So they're actually taking a little bit less of the property up as a project as a whole. It just wasn't relevant to this. We're just trying to do the repair of the wood structure and leave all the block and CMU and the footing and foundation and the basement all alone.
I move we vote to approve case number SV 25-1201, 800 College Avenue.
I second.
All right. Mr. Gear,
Yes.
Mr. Nieves,
Yes.
Ms. Childs,
Yes.
and Mr. Perkel.
Yes. The motion carries, and your request for variance has been granted. Thank you.
Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Oh, my God. Thank you.
You did great. You did great. What else in your statutes?
I call to order our next case, which is SV 25-12-02, which is 5644 Forest Drive South.
Y'all ready? William Siegel with Twin Construction. We're requesting to add a portion. It's a two-story house, but we're adding to the second story. That'll be to add a bedroom and bathroom on the second story left of the house. The existing structure will stay the same. Nothing downstairs gets renovated at all. And so the request, and we've already gotten engineering and everything to say that we can do this, but we are over the setback. So currently, it's non-conforming. It's at 7.7 feet on the left side where the existing structure is. We're looking to go straight up off of that to create this second story. That's all I got.
I'll open it up here to the public for anybody that has anything that they'd like to state. We'll close the public portion down here and open it up for any questions from the board.
The plans look pretty straightforward. You're building straight up, not out any, right?
Not out any, yeah.
Okay.
Everything's stacking over the existing.
Okay. Okay, I move to approve SV 25-1202, 564 Forest Drive South.
Second.
All right. Mr. Gear,
Yes.
Mr. Nieves,
Yes.
Ms. Childs,
Yes.
Mr. Perkel.
Yes, your motion carries. You've been granted, and we appreciate it. Thank you
Thanks.
for your time.
Heading to a Christmas party.
We'll call to order the next case, which is going to be SV 25-12-03, 600 Handball Avenue.
Appreciate y'all. My name is Justin Ivins. I live at 600 Handball Avenue, and I'm asking for a variance to extend my existing front porch to the corner, which will improve the continuity of the existing front porch. And also, the request for construction is, the construction is going to be within the prefixed NDP zoning setbacks. So it's just over the porch. I'm not going out in the foundation wise. It's just the covered of the corner. And I got my girls, I colored this for y'all if they wanted to show. So the blue, the green is the existing porch, the yellow is what I need the variance for, and the green on this side is what we're building, but we don't need the variance for. So it's just a chip out of the front porch.
Do you have anything else that you'd like to add to the?
Yes.
Okay. We will close that and open it up to the public, but I do not see anyone. We may have one public.
Oh, yeah.
We're trying to be quiet. I say yes. Better than nothing. You say yes?
We'll close the public portion down here and open up to the board here for any questions that we have.
Can you pull up the plans on that corner right there? So we're talking about just that corner.
Yeah, so that's why it's just the setback from the other side. So you can see the line the other part, I don't need a, variance for until I get to the 10 foot, and that's when the porch drops off.
So we're talking about the part where it says the 10-foot marker to the front.
No,
That-
Just this here. It's actually in zoning, in the setbacks, but it's non-compliant because of the house adjacent to it.
So this is being built, but I don't need a variance for it.
It's 3.5 feet.
Brian's got the little square on the screen for you too. And the part of the structure that's wrapping around
Mhm.
the side of the building, that is compliant. It's just that won't, those couple feet that need the variance to be covered all the way.
And that's because of the house adjacent to it?
Yes, the
Because of
front setback
alignment with that?
is
Mhm.
determined by the adjacent properties.
You see the
In
front
neighborhood
setback over
preservation.
here, and it kind of comes and chips off right the corner.
I move we vote to approve case number SV 25-1203, 600 Hamble Avenue.
I second.
All right. Mr. Gear,
Yes.
Mr. Nieves,
Yes.
Ms. Childs,
Yes.
and Mr. Perkel.
Yes. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. You're granted your variance request.
Appreciate y'all. Thank y'all
Thank
so
you.
much for your time. Y'all have a good evening.
I want to make note that we did have case SV 25-1204 on the docket, but they've requested a continuance to a further date. Is
Right,
that correct?
Yes.
Yes, to the January hearing.
Would you go ahead and announce that address, though? You mentioned
Okay.
it.
That's 1707 Reese Street. Applicant Andrew Patterson, property owner Angie Booth Noel.
Right. They have requested continue to the next meeting, right? Okay, that's, and, yeah. And that meeting, what will be the date?
It'll be the January 8th meeting.
Okay. It'll be continued to the January 8th BZA meeting. Okay, just for the record.
Thank you. With that, I would like to ask if there's any communications from the staff that y'all would like to share.
We are so excited for the joint work session that's going to be happening on Saturday. I can't wait for everyone to be together and learn all about meeting management and the powers of the BZA and the Planning Commission.
Well said.
And enjoy a big breakfast.
Yes, and we will have refreshments.
With that being said, I would like to adjourn this meeting.